was only a dress, Claire. Stop being dramatic. You destroyed it on purpose, then asked me for $80,000. Tonight, everyone will learn the truth.
The red wine had barely stopped dripping from my birthday dress when my mother leaned close and whispered, "Don't embarrass your sister. Smile for the guests." 3 days later, both my parents were sitting in my living room, asking me to hand that same sister $80,000. "Hello, my name is Claire Bennett. I am 37 years old, and I live in Denver, Colorado. For most of my life, I believed being the responsible daughter meant keeping the peace, paying the bills, and forgiving people before they even apologized. I did not understand that peace bought with silence is not peace. It is permission. My younger sister, Vanessa, had always been the bright light in our family. At least, that was how my parents described her. She was charming, funny, and able to make a room turn toward her the moment she entered. I was the opposite. I liked plans, quiet mornings, and promises that meant something. When we were children, Vanessa broke things and I repaired them. She forgot homework and I helped her finish it. She spent her allowance and borrowed mine. My parents called this sisterly love. As adults, the pattern became more expensive. I built a successful financial consulting firm from a desk in the corner of my apartment. It took 12 years, hundreds of late nights, and more failures than my family ever saw. Vanessa jumped from idea to idea. First it was handmade jewelry, then fitness coaching, then luxury candles. Every business ended the same way, with unpaid bills and a new explanation. My parents never called those failures. They called them brave experiments. The year I turned 37, I decided to celebrate properly. I had recently signed the largest client in my company's history, and for once, I wanted one evening that was not about work or family problems. I rented a private room at a beautiful downtown restaurant. I invited 20 close friends, several colleagues, and my parents. Vanessa was invited too. For the party, I bought a midnight blue silk dress from a small designer in New York. It was elegant, simple, and more expensive than anything I usually bought for myself. But the dress meant more than its price. I had purchased it with the first bonus I paid myself after clearing every business debt. When I tried it on, I saw a woman who had finally stopped apologizing for succeeding. Vanessa saw the dress 2 weeks before my birthday. She walked into my bedroom without knocking, ran her fingers over the sleeve, and smiled. "It's pretty," she said. A little serious, but very you. Then, she asked how much it cost. I should have recognized the change in her face when I told her. On the night of my party, everything began beautifully. The room glowed with warm lights. My friends laughed. My father gave a short toast about how proud he was of both his daughters, though the evening was supposed to celebrate only one of us. Vanessa arrived 40 minutes late in a sparkling silver dress. She apologized loudly enough for everyone to hear, hugged me, and immediately began talking about a new business she planned to launch. She called it V-House, a luxury event styling company. She claimed she already had celebrity interest, though she would not name the celebrity. She moved from table to table, showing guests' photographs on her phone. I tried not to care. It was familiar behavior. Then, just before the cake arrived, Vanessa approached holding a full glass of red wine. She put one hand on my arm and said, "We should take a sister picture." The photographer raised his camera. Vanessa stepped closer. Her heel did not slip. No one bumped her. I know because I was looking directly at her face. She tilted the glass. Red wine poured from my shoulder to the floor. The entire room became silent. Vanessa gasped a second too late. "Oh my God, Claire. I'm so sorry." I tripped. But she had not tripped. I stared at her, and for one brief second, her worried expression disappeared. Beneath it was satisfaction. Then my mother rushed over. Not to ask if I was all right, but to protect Vanessa. "It was an accident," she said. "Don't make a scene." The photographer quietly lowered his camera. I went to the restroom and pressed cold water against the spreading stain. My friend Maya followed me. She had been standing near the photographer. "She did that deliberately," Maya said. Hearing someone else say it made my hands shake. "I know. Do you want me to ask her to leave?" For years, I would have said no. I would have cleaned the dress, returned to the table, and made everyone comfortable. That night, I looked at affliction and made a different choice. "Yes," I said. "Please ask the manager to remove her." When I returned, Vanessa was crying in my father's arms. My mother looked furious. "You're throwing your own sister out over a dress?" she asked. "No," I said calmly. "I'm asking her to leave because she ruined it on purpose." Vanessa's tears stopped. My father told me I was being cruel. My mother said jealousy had made me suspicious. That almost made me laugh. According to them, I was jealous of a woman whose rent I had secretly paid twice that year. Vanessa left, but my parents left with her. For a few minutes, I wanted to disappear. Then Maya brought me a clean black dress from the hotel boutique next door. My friends moved the cake away from the stained carpet. The music started again. And something surprising happened. The party became better after my family left. Nobody competed for attention. Nobody made jokes at my expense. Nobody asked me for money. My colleagues shared stories about our early years in business. My friends toasted the life I had built. For the first time, I noticed how relaxed I felt without my parents and sister in the room. The next morning, I received a message from the photographer. His camera had captured a rapid series of pictures before the wine hit me. In the first image, Vanessa was standing firmly. In the second, she was watching the glass. In the third, her wrist was turning toward my dress. There was no trip. I saved the photographs but did not send them to my parents. I wanted to see whether Vanessa would tell the truth without being forced. She did not contact me. 3 days later, my parents arrived at my house without warning. My father carried a folder. My mother brought a grocery store cake, as if sugar could erase humiliation. They sat on my sofa and explained that Vanessa's event business had a once-in-lifetime opportunity. A large venue had offered her preferred partnership status. She needed $80,000 for equipment, staff, insurance, and a showroom deposit. She only needs a bridge. My father said. My bridge to where? I asked. My mother ignored the question. You can afford it. There it was. The family sentence that had followed every request for years. You can afford it. As if having money removed my right to decide how it was used. Is Vanessa asking for a loan? My father opened the folder. An investment. You would receive 10% of the company. I looked at the first page. There was no business valuation, no revenue forecast, no contract with a venue, and no list of current clients. It was a template from the internet. Who prepared this? I asked. Vanessa. My mother said proudly. Where are her financial records? My father's voice hardened. Must you turn everything into an interrogation? Someone asks for $80,000. Yes. My mother placed her hand on my knee. Claire, she feels terrible about your dress. Helping her would show that you're ready to move forward. I stared at her. My ruined birthday dress had somehow become a debt I owed Vanessa. I told them I would review the proposal. They brightened immediately. What I did not tell them was that I had already decided not to invest. I wanted to understand why the request had arrived so quickly after the party. The next morning, I began investigating. V House had been registered only 11 days earlier. The address on its paperwork belonged to a mailbox store. The venue named in the proposal had never heard of Vanessa or her company. Then I called the insurance broker listed in her documents. The number belonged to a disconnected prepaid phone. The business opportunity did not exist. But the mystery became darker when I reviewed the bank statements my father had accidentally left inside the folder. They were not Vanessa's. They belonged to my parents. Their savings account, once worth almost $200,000, had fallen below $12,000. Over 18 months, they had transferred money to Vanessa again and again. $5,000, $8,000, $15,000. There were also credit card advances and a home equity loan. My parents were not asking me to start Vanessa's business. They were asking me to rescue them from the money they had already given her. I called my father. At first, he denied everything. Then he said the missing money was a temporary family matter. Finally, he admitted that Vanessa had promised to repay them after receiving my investment. So my $80,000 would go to you? I asked. Only part of it. How much? He remained silent. That silence answered me. I asked whether he knew the venue partnership was fake. He hung up. That evening, Vanessa called for the first time since my birthday. She did not apologize. You had no right to question Dad about private finances, she said. You used a fake contract to ask me for $80,000. It's not fake, it's preliminary. The venue has never heard of you. For several seconds, she said nothing. Then she laughed softly. This is why nobody can celebrate with you, Claire. Everything has to become an audit. Did you pour wine on my dress? Because I wouldn't introduce you to my clients. Her breathing changed. That was the missing piece. A month before my birthday, Vanessa had asked to pitch event services to 3 of my corporate clients. I refused because she had no experience, insurance, or staff. You always think you're better than me, she said. No. I think preparation matters. You had your big dress, your big party, and all those people praising you. I wanted you to feel embarrassed for once. She had finally admitted it. And now you want my money. Mom and Dad said you would help. They were wrong. Her voice became cold. If you refuse, they could lose the house. Because of choices the 3 of you made without me. You would really let your parents suffer? That question stayed with me all night. Vanessa knew exactly where to place the knife. She knew I had spent my life believing I was responsible for everyone's safety. The next day, my mother sent a family group message announcing a Sunday dinner to finalize my investment. She included a smiling photograph of Vanessa beside a rented office space. Several relatives replied with congratulations. My parents had presented my money as certain before I had agreed. I almost declined the invitation. Instead, I called an attorney, printed every record I had found, and made a plan. On Sunday, 12 relatives were sitting around my parents' dining table. Vanessa wore a white suit and stood beside a poster bearing the V-House logo. She had even prepared champagne. My mother tapped her glass. "Tonight," she announced, "our family comes together to support Vanessa's dream. Claire will provide the investment that launches the business." Everyone applauded. I remained seated. Vanessa handed me a pen and pushed the papers across the table. "Before I sign," I said, "I have a few questions." Her smile tightened. I asked her to name the venue that had offered the partnership. She gave the name from the proposal. I placed an email from the venue manager on the table. It confirmed that no offer existed. Then I displayed the photographs from my birthday, one by one. They showed Vanessa deliberately tipping the wine. The room went silent. I stood up. "This is unnecessary." "No," I said. What was unnecessary was turning my birthday into punishment because I refused to risk my client's trust. Vanessa's face flushed. "You're trying to destroy me." "I'm declining to finance a lie." My father ordered me to put the papers away. Instead, I placed copies of their bank transfers beside the fake business proposal. I did not reveal every private detail to the family. I revealed only enough to stop the public performance. "My parents have already invested heavily," I said. "This money would not launch a new company. Most of it would repay old promises. I will not participate." My aunt looked at Vanessa. "Is that true?" Vanessa turned to our parents for help. My mother did what she had always done. She blamed me. "You have more than enough," she said. "Your sister needs one chance. She has had many chances. What she needs now is a consequence." I slid a different envelope toward my parents. Inside was an offer from a certified financial counselor, whom I had paid for. I would cover 6 months of counseling, and the cost of an independent review of their debts. I would not pay their loans, and I would not give Vanessa cash. To receive my help, my parents had to stop all transfers to her and follow a written recovery plan. My father looked relieved. My mother looked insulted. Vanessa tore the counselor's card in half. "You want to control all of us?" she shouted. "No," I said. "I am finally controlling the only thing that belongs to me, my participation." Then I stood and left. The consequences came quickly. Without my name, money, or clients, Vanessa could not secure the showroom. The owner of the rented office ended her short-term agreement when the deposit failed. 2 vendors demanded payment for promotional materials she had ordered on credit. She posted online that a jealous family member had sabotaged her dream. I did not respond. Facts have patience. Within weeks, people began asking why a successful company had no events, no staff, and no valid business address. My parents did not speak to me for nearly 2 months. Then my father called alone. He sounded older than I remembered. He told me he had accepted the counseling offer. He had also opened a separate account my mother and Vanessa could not access. The counselor helped him create a plan to keep the house, though they would need to sell a vacation property and live more carefully. "I should have protected both my daughters with the truth," he said. "Instead, I protected one from consequences and taught the other that love meant paying." It was the first honest apology I had ever received from him. My mother resisted longer. She accused me of breaking the family. But after my father refused another request from Vanessa, my mother finally joined the counseling sessions. Vanessa disappeared from our lives for almost 6 months. She moved to Phoenix and took a job with an established event company. For the first time, she had a supervisor, fixed hours, and no family money to soften every mistake. One evening, she sent me a message. It contained only 7 words. "I hated that you didn't need rescuing." I read it several times. Then another message arrived. "I'm sorry about the dress. I meant it." I did not forgive her immediately. "An apology is a door, not a bridge. The bridge must be built by changed behavior." I replied, "Thank you for telling the truth. Keep going." That was all. A year after my ruined birthday, I held a small dinner at my home. Maya came, along with a few close friends and my father. My mother attended too. She was quieter than usual, but she brought no excuses and asked for no money. Vanessa was not there. We were not ready for that yet. Before dinner, Maya handed me a long white box. Inside was the midnight blue dress. She had secretly taken it to a textile artist after the cleaner said the wine stain could not be removed. The artist had transformed the dark red marks into embroidered branches, covered with tiny burgundy flowers. The damage was still visible, but it had become part of something stronger and more beautiful. I wore the dress that evening. My mother touched one of the embroidered flowers and began to cry. "I should have defended you," she said. "Yes," I answered gently. "You should have." I did not rush to comfort her. I let the truth remain in the room. Sometimes love needs warmth. Sometimes it needs a chair pulled out for accountability. We ate dinner. We talked honestly. Nobody made a speech about family sacrifice. Nobody handed me a bill. It was not a perfect ending, but it was real. I once believed revenge meant watching Vanessa lose the business she tried to build with my money. I was wrong. Her failure gave me no joy. The real justice was that I stopped funding the behavior that hurt all of us. My parents learned to live within the truth. Vanessa finally began earning her own future. And I learned that boundaries are not walls built from anger. They are doors with locks. And I am allowed to choose who receives a key. My sister ruined my birthday dress, but she did not ruin my birthday. That night gave me something far more valuable than silk. It taught me that when people stain your life with betrayal, you do not have to wear their shame. You can turn the damage into a pattern, stand tall, and make the next chapter entirely your own.